looked at me not just as little brother, where like maybe started to value my opinions a little bit more.
James Franco was once the face of a new kind of Hollywood star. The artist, the intellectual, the prankster, and the leading man all rolled into one. He could deliver an Oscar-nominated performance, then turn around and star in a stoner comedy, write a book of poetry, and teach a class at NYU. He was the endlessly fascinating, charmingly eccentric enigma that Hollywood couldn't get enough of. But behind the curtain of his carefully constructed public image, a deeply disturbing pattern was emerging. A story of power, manipulation, and exploitation was quietly unfolding, and when it finally broke, it wouldn't just tarnish his golden reputation, it would shatter it completely. What was truly happening behind the closed doors of James Franco's world? And how did one of the most celebrated actors of his generation become a Hollywood pariah? For over a decade, Franco seemed untouchable, a golden boy who could do no wrong. His breakout role in the cult classic Freaks and Geeks made him a teen idol, but it was his transformative portrayal of James Dean in a 2001 TV movie that proved he was a serious talent, earning him a Golden Globe. From there, his star only rose higher. He joined the blockbuster Spider-Man franchise and then stunned critics with his harrowing Oscar-nominated role in 127 Hours, where he carried almost the entire film on his own. His collaborations with longtime friend Seth Rogen in comedies like Pineapple Express, This Is the End, and The Disaster Artist made him a box office giant and cemented his image as a fun-loving, self-aware star who didn't take himself too seriously. But all the while, he was cultivating a persona as a serious intellectual, earning multiple degrees, teaching film classes at prestigious universities like UCLA and NYU, and publishing collections of poetry and short stories. He was the Renaissance man of modern Hollywood, a quirky genius whose ambitions seemed limitless. But his journey to the top was anything but ordinary. Growing up in the affluent town of Palo Alto, California, Franco was a math whiz with a rebellious streak. His artistic ambitions clashed with the expectations of his parents, and after just 1 year at UCLA, he dropped out to pursue acting full-time, a decision that led to a major falling out with his family. To support himself, he took a job at a McDonald's drive-thru, famously practicing different accents on unsuspecting customers. This period of struggle defined his relentless work ethic, fueling a hunger for success that would later be seen as both his greatest asset and his most dangerous flaw. His determination was undeniable, but it was intertwined with an intensity that often blurred the lines between dedication and obsession. This intensity was most evident in his devotion to method acting. For the James Dean role, he didn't just study the actor, he became him. He started smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, learned to ride a motorcycle, and cut off contact with his family and even his girlfriend at the time, believing it was the only way to truly understand Dean's infamous loneliness. The performance won him awards, but it also worried those around him. This wasn't just acting, it was a total immersion that seemed to erase the boundary between himself and the character. This willingness to push himself to the absolute limit would earn him praise for years. But looking back, it was an early sign of a man who believed the rules didn't apply to him. Especially in the pursuit of his art, for years, his eccentricities were dismissed as part of his artistic charm. But in 2014, the first major crack appeared in his public facade. A series of private Instagram messages were leaked, showing the then 35-year-old actor trying to arrange a hotel room meeting with a 17-year-old Scottish tourist. After she told him her age, he persisted, asking, "You're 18? And should I rent a room?" The exchange went viral, sparking widespread condemnation. Franco's response was a bizarre and awkward apology on the talk show Live with Kelly and Michael, where he blamed his bad judgment on being in a weird place and the difficulties of social media. The incident was largely framed as an embarrassing mistake, a lapse in judgment from a star who was simply a little too weird for his own good. But for others, it was a deeply unsettling glimpse into a potential pattern of behavior, a warning sign of a much darker reality that had yet to be exposed. The real controversy, however, was brewing within the walls of an institution he created himself, his acting school, named Studio 4. Pitched to aspiring actors as a unique opportunity to learn from a working Hollywood star, the school attracted hundreds of hopefuls willing to pay for a chance to be in Franco's orbit. Students were promised real-world experience and potential roles in his many film projects. But according to numerous former students, Studio 4 was less of an educational institution and more of a personal playground for Franco, a place where he could exert his power and influence over vulnerable young women who dreamed of making it in Hollywood. The school allegedly became a pipeline, a system designed to identify and groom young actresses who were willing to do whatever it took to get his attention. The whispers and rumors that had circulated for years finally exploded into the public consciousness in January 2018, just days after Franco won a Golden Globe for his performance in The Disaster Artist, where he ironically brought his mentor Tommy Wiseau on stage in a bizarre acceptance speech. The Los Angeles Times published a bombshell report. 5 women, 4 of them his former acting students, came forward to accuse him of inappropriate and sexually exploitative behavior. They described an environment where Franco would abuse his power as a teacher and a director, pushing them into uncomfortable situations under the guise of art. The timing was devastating. At the very moment he should have been celebrating a career high, his world began to unravel. As the scandal erupted, it also put his family, particularly his younger brother and frequent collaborator Dave Franco, in an incredibly difficult position. In interviews, Dave walked a careful line, acknowledging the seriousness of the situation while trying to support his brother. He spoke about wanting to believe in change and personal growth, but the gravity of the accusations was impossible to ignore. The Franco brothers, who had built a brand on their close and often comedic relationship, were now caught in a storm that threatened to engulf them both, forcing Dave to distance himself professionally and personally as the legal battles mounted. The controversy also implicated some of Franco's closest Hollywood allies, most notably Seth Rogen. Actress Charlene Yee, who had worked on The Disaster Artist, publicly called out Rogen for being an enabler of Franco's behavior. She claimed that she had tried to quit the film because of the allegations against Franco, but producers, including Rogen, had tried to bribe her to stay. Her accusations were bolstered by actress Busy Phillips, who wrote in her memoir about a terrifying incident on the set of Freaks and Geeks where a young Franco, in character as an aggressive jock, physically threw her to the ground without her consent, an act that left her in tears and shocked the rest of the cast and crew. Rogen initially defended his friend, saying he planned to continue working with him. But as the pressure mounted, he eventually backtracked, expressing regret for his comments and stating that he had no plans to work with Franco again. The accusations against Rogen and others exposed the uncomfortable truth about the culture of silence in Hollywood, where powerful men are often protected by a network of friends and colleagues who are willing to look the other way. The legal repercussions were swift. Tither Kaplan and another former student, Tony Gall, filed a class action lawsuit against Franco and his business partners, accusing them of fraud, sexual harassment, and creating an environment of exploitation. The lawsuit alleged that the acting school was essentially a scam, designed to lure in young actors with the false promise of roles in Franco's films, only to subject them to his improper and sexually charged behavior. In 2021, after a long and public legal battle, Franco agreed to a settlement, paying out over $2.2 million to the plaintiffs. While the settlement included a statement from Franco denying the allegations, the massive payout was seen by many as a tacit admission of wrongdoing, a financial consequence for a career's worth of alleged misconduct. The professional fallout was immediate and severe. The New York Times canceled a public event promoting The Disaster Artist. He was digitally scrubbed from the cover of Vanity Fair's prestigious annual Hollywood issue, even after he had already sat for the photo shoot. Projects were quietly shelved, and his once ubiquitous presence in Hollywood vanished overnight. He became one of the most prominent figures to be canceled in the metoo era, a symbol of the industry's long overdue reckoning with its own dark underbelly. The man who had been everywhere was suddenly nowhere to be seen. After years of silence, Franco finally addressed the allegations in a candid 2021 interview on SiriusXM. In the conversation, he made a series of startling admissions. He confessed that he had, in fact, slept with students from his acting school, a behavior he now understood was wrong. He claimed that at the time, he didn't see the power imbalance, believing that if the encounters were consensual, they were acceptable. He also opened up about his struggles with sex addiction, which he said had clouded his judgment for decades. The interview was a calculated attempt at a redemption arc, a man taking responsibility for his past actions while laying the groundwork for a potential comeback. But for his accusers and many in the public, it felt like too little, too late. His confession seemed to confirm the very behavior he had denied in his legal settlement, leaving many to question the sincerity of his apology. In the years since, Franco has made tentative steps back into the spotlight, primarily through independent and European film projects. His casting as Fidel Castro in the film Elena of Cuba sparked a fresh wave of controversy, with many questioning why a man accused of such serious misconduct was being given a platform once again. His story has become a central case study in the ongoing debate about cancel culture, redemption, and whether there is a path back for those who have fallen from grace. Can a person truly change? And does Hollywood have a responsibility to forgive or to remember? The story of James Franco is a chilling and complex saga of talent, ambition, and the corrupting nature of power. He was a man who seemed to have it all, but whose insatiable appetites and moral failings led to his dramatic downfall. His legacy is now forever fractured, a reminder that the charming, brilliant persona we see on screen can often hide a reality that is far more sinister. It leaves us with a lingering, uncomfortable question. In an industry built on illusion, how many other celebrated heroes are just one revelation away from becoming the villain of their own story? The details of the allegations were graphic and disturbing, painting a picture of a man who used his acting classes as a pretext for exploitation. Sarah Tither Kaplan, a former student, described a masterclass on X scenes where students were pressured to get naked on set. She recounted one particular scene, an orgy for one of Franco's films, where he allegedly removed the protective plastic guards covering the actress's genitals while simulating oral X on them. Another student, Hilary Dussomme, recalled Franco becoming visibly angry when no women at a shoot were willing to go topless. When she and other actresses finally agreed, they felt it wasn't a choice but a professional necessity. Violet Paley, a woman who was in a consensual relationship with Franco, claimed he once pressured her to perform oral X on him in his car, an experience that left her feeling like she had no real power to say no.